It is too early for us to put a very precise price tag on the flooding that we're seeing through such large swathes of Australia. But we do know that there will be consequences for the economy and for the budget. And what we're trying to do at this late stage, putting the finishing touches on the budget, is to include some of those preliminary assessments of the likely impacts in the numbers that I release on Tuesday night. So the preliminary sense from the Treasury is that we think that the floods that we're seeing right now, and remembering they've got a way to play out yet, unfortunately, but our current assessment, or the Treasury's current assessment, is that these floods will detract around 0.25 percentage point from GDP growth in the December quarter. That will be recovered in their estimation in the subsequent 2 quarters after that. It will add, in their estimation, 0.1% percentage points to inflation in the December quarter 2022 and again in the March quarter 2023. They expect that the floods will cause fruit and vegetable prices, for example, to be 8% higher than otherwise over the next 2 quarters, the last quarter of this calendar year, the first quarter of next calendar year, and that's based on the impact of previous flooding on some of our prime agricultural land. We need to remember here that we are talking about some of the best producing land in the world, producing a lot of groceries for domestic consumption, but also for export. And so what's happening here to these areas is particularly cruel, I think, given how close many of these farms were to producing what was expected to be a bumper crop. I also wanted to advise you that I've put $3 billion in the contingency reserve for additional Commonwealth spending for disaster response, remembering that already about $1.5 billion or almost $1.5 billion has been spent on payments to those who were impacted by previous floods and disasters. The additional money in the contingency reserve will go towards government payments and other kinds of support. We don't know yet whether that $3 billion will be sufficient, but we consider it prudent, responsible, to put some of that money into the contingency reserve on the expectation that the government bill for what we're seeing in these flood-affected communities will be substantial. As I said, this is just an initial estimate. The costs could be even more significant. But responding to natural disasters and building resilience in our economy will be absolutely central features of the budget that I hand down next Tuesday night. We'll put a premium on what's right and what's responsible, and we certainly won't be turning our back on Australians doing it tough in flood-affected communities.